everybody. My name is Debbie Zito. I'm a pediatric and adolescent physician assistant, and I am part of LifeVantage. I am joined this afternoon by Dr. Neil Goodman. Dr. Neil Goodman is an incredible pediatric and adolescent physician. He's been practicing for over 30 years. Together, we've been in practice together for about 18 years. And you know what? These products are amazing. We're excited and motivated by just the incredible stories of people whose lives have been changed. So we're coming to you today just to give you a review of our Vitality Stack. These address the 4 core pillars of health, and I'm looking forward to having Dr. Goodman dive into the science a little bit. In the future, we're going to do more educational science videos. Today, we're just going to be reviewing our Vitality Stack. So Dr. Goodman, are you there with me this afternoon?
Hi, Debbie. I sure am. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so glad. So you're an incredible speaker, and I just love listening to you. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of your information, your educational slides on the Vitality Stack. And thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Debbie. I'm going to go ahead and share my slideshow, which talks about the Vitality Stack today. And I hope that this will help to break down the science for all of you and to make it a little bit more clear as to why this is such an important product in the LifeVantage family. All right, well, this is our first slide. Of course, we become famous around the area. We call it Catch the Wave because this is definitely a wave you want to catch. And in keeping with the ocean theme, this is going to be one of our first talks, and we're going to call this our shallow swim because we're going to basically cover topics that are important to LifeVantage customers and distributors in a more shallow type of way that's easy to understand, with the idea that later on in the future we will have deep dive sessions which get into some more difficult type of discussion about the science for those that are really interested in that depth of knowledge. So as Debbie said, I've been practicing pediatric and adolescent medicine for over 30 years, and Debbie has been my counterpart in the office for the last 18 years. And I think together we probably have over 60 years of pediatric experience. And I really enjoy taking care of my patients and letting them know about health and wellness. And this presentation may be the single most important health presentation of your life. I call it the Biohacker's Guide to Wellness and Aging. And I'd like to make the FDA disclaimer to everyone to let everyone know that we don't make claims to treat, cure, or mitigate disease, although that these products do what they're supposed to do, which is to reduce oxidative stress and actually can, in fact, improve your wellness and improve your aging. And you'll see that as you learn about the science and connect the dots yourself. So we're going to talk about human health and wellness and aging, and we break this down into the core 4, as we like to refer to it, which is our Vitality Stack. And the first topic in the 4 core is oxidative stress. And in the second topic, we'll talk about mitochondrial function, and then later set the second brain with probiotics, and then the first brain talking about omega-3s and their importance to our health. But first, let's talk about oxidative stress. Again, a member of the core 4, oxidative stress is probably one of the most important subjects to learn about and to understand. First, in order to understand oxidative stress, you have to understand about oxygen. Oxygen is a molecule, of course, that we breathe, but you have to understand that as much as it's important for life and we needed it when we were born, it also has toxicity. If you take it in greater amounts than is necessary, it actually can age you faster. And in fact, it does. And more is toxic, such that even in the pediatric population, if infants are exposed to too much oxygen when they're born, it can actually lead to blindness in them. So it's important to know that oxygen is necessary, but it's also slowly killing us, and it will kill us over time. And that's a really sad fact to understand, and I'm going to try to bring some clarification to it to you today. First of all, oxygen causes oxidation, and its effect on metal is easily seen. You see what it does to steel. It causes it to rust, and with aluminum, it causes it to corrode. but in fact, our cells are rusting too. You might first notice just wrinkles on your skin as you age, but later this underlies the fact that we are accumulating cell damage over time. Ultimately, it causes inflammation as our joints start to fail and bother us. These are signs, of course, of aging, disease, and later, as cells die, this is the ultimate sacrifice that we make in our lives as we live our lives and utilize oxygen. So just like the flesh of this apple that's exposed to the air, which contains oxygen, it's flesh also, just like us. And of course, with time and in just even 30 minutes time, it starts to turn brown. And the reason is because oxygen is having an effect on the cells in that apple. And in fact, the actual molecule that is responsible for that is something called a free radical. Free radicals are oxygen derived, and they come about when oxygen interfaces with a lot of different things that we're exposed to in our lives, including ionizing radiation, UV light, just our mere metabolism of our mitochondrial cells, organelles in our cells, and also inflammation and air pollution. So a number of things come together to generate free radicals. And we're exposed to this from the moment we're born. We're going to refer to those free radicals as the bad guys. They're very destructive and they hurt our bodies. But we were given a gift when we were born, and these are our internal antioxidants. We have them present at birth, and they're extremely efficient at what they do, and they protect us for approximately the first 20 years of our life, when afterwards they become less efficient, and then we start to undergo cumulative damage as a result of the lack of adequate antioxidants to fight against the free radicals. Now, when we are our age, Debbie, we started to learn that we should probably supplement our diet with antioxidants. And some of those antioxidants include things like minerals and proteins and vitamin C and vitamin A, eating carrots and kale. These are all very useful, but they are dietary antioxidants and they play a secondary role. The primary antioxidants, which you see in this triangle above, is the first one, and the strongest, in fact, is called SOD, or superoxide dismutase. The second is catalase, and the third one of consequence is called glutathione peroxidase. These three in combination are extremely efficient at getting rid of free radicals to the tune of millions in a day, of which our bodies are producing free radicals on a regular basis to the same extent. And we're at a net zero gain or loss on that, so that this fight, which is playing out in our bodies, there is balance. And we'll call those antioxidants that we're born with the good guys. And just like the Superman symbol, we want these good guys on our side to help us fight our battle. But the problem is that when the amount of free radicals exceeds our ability to neutralize them, this is the term that we refer to as oxidative stress. And we can also use another term called inflammation. Essentially, oxidative stress and inflammation can be used interchangeably. So oxidative stress is the main cause of aging and almost 200 diseases, if not more. It is a common factor in the central cause or etiology of disease in lots of different organ systems. And just as you can see in this diagram, on the lower aspect of this diagram, you see the brain can be affected by inflammation and oxidative stress. And this may take the form of, for example, certain conditions such as Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease, or can be manifested as migraine headaches. With regard to the skin, it may be seen as sunburn or skin aging, perhaps eczema and also seborrhea. Psoriatic arthritis is another condition that's related to inflammation. So as all these organ systems start to take on the effect of inflammation and oxidative stress, we suffer the consequence of disease. Now, my job as an MD has been to treat all of these different organ systems with medications. That's where the medical degree name comes from. We use medicines to counteract the effect of this. But maybe in fact, a better solution would be to reduce the original cause, which is to reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in the center of this diagram and bring it down to such a small number that it doesn't have effect on us anymore. And in doing so, we bring in Superman, which means we're bringing in those 3 primary antioxidants, which we call, again, superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione. These are the good guys, and they help us fight this battle. Well, we were born with 23 pairs of chromosomes, and all of our genes that are encoding on those chromosomes code for both proteins and enzymes. And it just so happens that the NRF2 protein, which is a messenger protein in the cellular cytoplasm of our cells, and the NRF1 protein, they have been identified as master regulators of our cell protection and survival. So when we activate NRF2 protein using Superman, we are able to increase the levels of SOD by 34%. We can also increase catalase levels by 54%. And if you get this, increase glutathione by 300% in as little as 120 days. Overall, taken together, we are able to reduce oxidative stress by activating the NRF2 protein in our bodies from free radical damage by 40% in 30 days. This is in everyone who has ever utilized this particular Protandim NRF2 activator, which got its patent some years ago and was made available to the public. And that's why this is such an important piece of information to know for your health and well-being. Essentially, when you activate the NRF2 protein in your cells, you are essentially biohacking. This means that you can turn down the aging code in your body by eliminating or reducing free radical damage. This is an incredible opportunity for all of us, and that's why we're so excited. So your DNA that I talked about before isn't necessarily your destiny. You were born with those 23 pairs of chromosomes, but really only 20% of your DNA is ever expressed. 80% of your DNA is actually dormant and has the ability to be able to be turned on or turned off by foods and different exposures that your body encounters during your life. When you purposely try to activate certain genetic pathways, such as the NRF2 protein or the NRF1 protein, this is the concept of biohacking. You are actually taking control. When you don't take control, you're being hijacked. We don't want to be hijacked. We're hijacked every single day in our lives. We're exposed through physical ailment, through injury, or being exposed to cancer-causing substances. We have emotional stressors which affect our general well-being and health and accelerate our aging process. And then biochemically, we're exposed to toxins and radiation and allergens and pollutants. And we also have, unfortunately, bad food choices on occasion that we take in our bodies. And these also help to accelerate the aging process. We don't want to hijack our bodies. We want to biohack. And when you biohack, you're optimizing your already God-given genetic potential. You're becoming the best version of yourself. You are already given these tools. You were born with them. They're in every single one of your 37 trillion cells. It's encoded in your DNA code and chromosomes. We're using the science then of nutrigenomics in order to biohack. So nutrigenomics means using food or food products to influence how our genes behave. It's as simple as that. Food, of course, is not only nutrition for our bodies, but it's also code for our bodies. As I said, it can influence our genetic expression since only 20% of our DNA is ever expressed. That's an incredible opportunity for us. The current problem with our food system is that, well, look at this diagram. I mean, $1 can buy you some pretty poorly nutritious French fries, or you can spend $6, which unfortunately is expensive, but you can get some healthy fruit which may have, in fact, some natural antioxidants that's good for you. Remember now, people are fed by the food industry, and they pay absolutely no attention to health. And they're treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. But LifeVantage seeks to change that by giving us access to something that's derived from food in the little yellow pill Protandim NRF2 as well as Protandim NRF1. This is an incredible opportunity and so exciting for all of us when you see what this little thing can do. So let's talk briefly about supplementation versus activation. When you supplement, i.e. taking a vitamin, for example, you're just sort of guessing. I mean, do you really know how much vitamin D you should take? Should you take 5,000 international units or maybe just 600 international units? What about calcium? How many milligrams of calcium do you need? Do you need 1,000 or do you need 1,500? There's really a lack of quality control, both from the companies that produce these vitamins, as well as the specific knowledge that underlies what you've been told as far as how much you should take of something in order to help you. The problem is we don't know what the overall effect of gene expression is, as I mentioned before, or its effect on overall cellular health. But with the new science of nutrigenomics, these things have been studied. They are today's breakthroughs. They've been peer-reviewed in published studies at PubMed.gov, which is a division of the Institutes for National Health, and also have been researched at third-party independent funding by various universities, looking at the end result on genes and cellular health. We're using a concept here called synergy. Synergy means when you're using multiple things to aid each other for the common good. An example of this is found in Protandim NRF2. If you look on the bottom of this diagram, you'll see that it contains 5 organic, actually, Debbie, better than organic. These are ultra pure compounds that come from nature. They include turmeric, milk thistle, green tea extract, bacopa extract, and ashwagandha. Individually, each of these is an NRF2 activator, but combined, they work synergistically to amplify each other to the tune of 1,800%. This is absolutely amazing. And in fact, this one Protandim has the capability to be so much more than the individual components put together that it received its patent, as I mentioned before, and has been acknowledged by major institutions as having incredible benefit on the NRF2 activation system and the stimulation of our own internal antioxidants. So essentially then, Protandim NRF2 lowers your oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. It reduces cellular stress through the NRF2 activation process, and it induces enzymes capable of neutralizing more than 1 million free radicals in all of your cells every day. This is an incredible feat for one single pill, such as Protandim, to have the equivalency of over 1 million free radicals being destroyed. This has never been accomplished before, and this is an amazing tool. It's been recognized, as I said, by major institutions in doing this. And not only that, it also helps to regulate over 400 survival genes. Essentially, it tunes your piano when your piano is playing poorly. And it also helps the body repair and rejuvenate its own cells by aiding it in detoxifying. It has been shown to be the only natural supplement proven to extend life in mammals by 7%. This according to the National Institute of Aging, which is a division of the National Institutes for Health. So Debbie, this is an incredible substance, and as I mentioned, one Protandim has the equivalency of 375 oranges eaten together simultaneously. First of all, you could never accomplish that feat without being sick, but to imagine the oxidative power to protect ourselves from free radical damage that this has. It would also be equivalent to the amount of resveratrol in 87 glasses of red wine a day, or 11 pounds of blueberries, or 120 vitamin C tablets. In essence, 1 to 1,000 versus 1 to 1 molecule effect on an individual free radical. And this is going on 24/7 for the entire life cycle of the enzymes that it induces in your body. So if you look at this graph, this shows a graph of oxidative stress as we age. And as you see, as you climb from age 20 on up through age 80, without Protandim being present, you can measure your T-bar level, which is a measure of oxidative stress, and you'll see that it's a linear result, and essentially it goes up with each decade of life that you age. But when you put Protandim into the system, and I want to be clear about this, this is an FDA-approved statement. We can say by using Protandim NRF2 that oxidative stress levels are flatline and reduced to the level of a 20-year-old in essentially everyone who has ever taken it. That's within 30 days. That means that your oxidative stress levels are reduced by 40% at a minimum and as much as 70% over 3 months' time, reaching its maximum effect of 1 month for every decade of life that you live. This is unbelievable science that I'm presenting to you. I want to show you an example of how NRF2 activation found in natural substances such as in broccoli, as you see on the lower right corner. This is due to sulforaphane, a chemical that is a natural NRF2 inducer. It's found in broccoli and kale, and very healthy for you, no doubt. Well, science attempted to try to accomplish the same thing by coming out with a drug last year called Tecfidera, or dimethyl fumarate. I want you to look at this real carefully. First of all, it's twice as effective as sulforaphane, but look at the price tag. $50,000 a year to take this drug to reduce your oxidative stress, not even as much as sulforaphane. And the main reason that this drug was invented was in order to treat multiple sclerosis, where essentially oxidative stress is known to be a instigator. Up on the upper right corner is another drug called Bartoloxone, and it was a failed drug due to a number of different side effects. But now I want to capture your attention and look carefully at this graph. This is Protandim. This is the degree of NRF2 activation due to 1 Protandim, and I also want you to look at the price. It's $41 a month. This is in comparison to $50,000 a year in the chart down below, and yet it's at least twice as effective. And this is in our hands now, everybody. This is unbelievable that we have this available to us, and it can reduce your oxidative stress for essentially $1 a day. So going on, this is an incredible feat. I mentioned before about tuning your piano. If you could imagine your genes were the piano keyboard, and every key had an assigned frequency. Well, this is essentially an example of what that keyboard would play like if all the notes were in tune. It looks nice and even, these green bars. It's a very straight line. So when Grandma bought this piano in 1969, she bought a new piano in tune. But this is what happens if that piano sits in the attic for 50 years. I hate to say that I'm over 50 years old and my piano was probably playing this well. All of these genes are now being expressed with different frequencies. They're up and down all over the place. This is a discordant pattern. It does not play successfully, and this piano plays out of tune. So using this analogy, these are 63 of the 400 genes that I referred to that are affected by Protandim NRF2. And if you look at the pattern of these bars all over the place, some of them are low, some of them are high. The ones that are low represent superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. And the ones that are high represent other genes that are responsible for metabolic syndrome and coronary calcifications. Now, I want you to see what happens when a person who has this genetic gene expression frequency takes Protandim. You see here, this is absolutely unbelievable. The ones that were high are now brought down into a reasonable range. The ones that were low are brought higher, such that now the piano or the gene frequency distribution is even. This piano is now in tune. And the same thing happens with your body. These are your survival genes. You want your survival genes to be playing and expressing themselves at the genetic level evenly. This is how our body was designed to program those genes when we were babies and young children. That is essentially what Protandim does. And in 2015, Washington State University said that this was potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. This was recognizing the fact that Protandim Nrf2 had beaten all other players in inducing the Nrf2 activation cascade, which is necessary for cellular health. All right, so this is an incredible story I've just told you, but it doesn't stop here. Let's talk about the second pillar of wellness. This is talking about mitochondrial function, which is also affected by free radical damage. Protandim has a sister product called NRF1. NRF1 was designed to help the mighty mitochondria. And for those who don't know, the mitochondria is responsible for 95% of the energy that our bodies make. It is our ATP generation unit. It's present in all of our cells. Many cells have 400 or more of these, some have less, but the mitochondria is necessary for cell survival, and its presence also is necessary in order to ward off cancer. As I said, it produces ATP, and it also supports muscle strength and growth, brain function, and also your blood system and cellular formation in your red cells and white cells. It's necessary for your immune system. Without a mitochondria and with mitochondrial decline, this is the effect that aging has on it. It destroys these mitochondria. It takes them out because of the effect of the free radicals inside the cell and causes them to die. So when you have free radical damage inside the cell, it acts like almost like a hurricane. It destroys the cell from the inside out. Not only does it destroy the nucleus and the DNA where your genetic code appears, but it also affects your metabolic function of the cell and destroys the mitochondria, which are necessary for that energy production that I spoke about. So imagine now, if here's the free radical affecting the DNA and causing damage to the very code that makes you you, and induces an error. If that error is transcribed too much and is unable to be repaired, this is the precursor for cancer. And similarly, if the mitochondria is affected and destroyed, you have lost the ability to produce energy. So here's your cell, a close-up of it, and here are the mitochondria. There's 3 examples. And imagine that cell now being damaged and those mitochondria disappearing. That cell is essentially dead. It has no way to produce energy, and that cell will wither and die, even though the genetic material and nucleus is still present. So essentially, as I said, it's destroyed from the inside out. This is not what we want to happen to our body. And if you can imagine that the mitochondria are then suffering in number, that also leads to decrease in our metabolism and our energy formation. And you can imagine then if you have decreased energy formation and decreased ability to burn your fuel, this is going to result in weight gain. And is in fact the reason why we become more metabolically inefficient as we get older and we gain weight. So with decreased energy, you also have lost your ability to heal yourself and to restore cells that have been damaged. And consequently, then it also affects the way that you think, how you feel, and also your ability to concentrate, which we also will sometimes refer to as brain fog as we get older. So as I mentioned, the way the NRF protein works is it stimulates the production of mitochondria and the protection of mitochondria, and therefore then increases the ability of the cell to produce ATP, which we need for energy. And it includes these ingredients, which you can find on the bottle, but they are all natural ingredients and necessary for health, and are in and of themselves antioxidants as well. So again, the natural benefit of this is that by taking NRF1 in addition to NRF2, we usually will experience improved sleep quality and promote cellular repair. Our cellular health is restored, our energy production is restored, and those very important mitochondria are regenerated and reproduced, which allow our cells to continue to live their lives, and consequently then slows the cellular aging process by supporting our chromosomes' integrity. So there you have it, NRF2 and NRF1. We call these the 1-2 punch of the vitality stack. There are two components of the vitality stack. This is extremely well thought out. They need each other. Ideally, you want to take both of them together to have ideal health, and most people recognize that they are improved when they start to utilize this product. All right, well, we've covered a lot of information so far. I want to go into two more things, if you guys can hang out with me just a little bit longer and understand about the second brain. I'm going to tell you some things that you may not have known before, and then I'm going to talk about the first brain as well. But first, you're probably puzzled, what do I mean by the second brain? The second brain is your gut. The gut has a mind of its own. It is able to communicate with our first brain. So let's talk about why the second brain is referred to as the gut. First of all, our microbiome consists of living bacteria that live in our gut. If you were to measure the amount of DNA that is in the bacteria in our gut, it's actually more than all of our human DNA combined, almost tenfold more. We are actually more microbial than we are human in terms of cellular material. Now, this is why probiotics are so important to our health. We're talking about bacteria and giving ourselves helpful bacteria in our gut to replace the bad bacteria that tend to persist. Our good bacteria are constantly being depleted, and they're sensitive to assault of all the things that we put in our body, whether it be poor food choices or illness. And we need to strike a balance in order to maintain the integrity of our gut lining. So the gut is called the second brain because that microbiome has the ability to secrete neurotransmitters. It uses the same neurotransmitters that our brain uses, that being serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. And in fact, there's almost more serotonin in our gut than there is in our brain. And serotonin is responsible for that feeling of well-being that we have when we are well. So can you imagine if the bacteria are having conferences with themselves within our gut and we absorb those signals that they put out? When that happens, we absorb that through our intestines, since that's what our intestine is for. And that then there has an effect on our well-being and how we feel. So if we don't treat our gut well, we don't feel well. So with inflammation then of the gut, as what occurs with leaky gut due to the types of foods that we put in our intestine, this can then affect our emotions because we're absorbing things that we shouldn't be absorbing. Our gut wall has lost its integrity, and our body is now exposed to toxins and cellular material, both bacteria as well as viruses, that it would not ordinarily see. This manifests itself as depression, anxiety, decreased memory capacity, as well as slowness, and has also been implicated as being a partial etiology for autism and Down syndrome and various other neurologic conditions. You need to note that the gut is also home to 70% of our immune system. So when we put bacteria in our gut with ProBio, which is LifeVantage's probiotic, we are actually replacing 6 billion bacteria with 6 helpful strains that our body needs in order to right the wrong, in order to strike a balance between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. Now, when you buy a probiotic over the counter or at the nature store or the vitamin store, a lot of times they'll be refrigerated or they'll be encapsulated in a capsule in order to try to protect it from the air. But in fact, they are already oxidized when you buy them. So when someone tells you buy a probiotic that has, say, 20 billion colony-forming units in it, you're really not getting 20 billion units because half of them are already dead. Then when you swallow it, it has to contend with the stomach acid, which wipes out the remaining amount, such that the net result is that you really only get about 4 or 5% of that delivery system into your intestine, the large intestine, I should say, where it's needed. Now, this is unlike Physique ProBio. In the ProBio product, which has BioTract as its delivery system, you're able to achieve a 60% delivery of the proper bacteria to the intestine versus 4 to 5%. That means essentially it's 15 times more bioavailable. And not only that, it's time released, meaning it delivers it over a 10 to 13 hour period through your large intestine, such that the bacteria that need to be in the front part of the large intestine get what they need, and the ones that need to be delivered towards the end of the large intestine get what they need. And then that way we have the proper distribution of the normal flora of bacteria that keeps our lining healthy. And it also includes Wellimmune, which is important for our immune response because of those immune cells that live in our intestine. There is no other probiotic product like this. And it gets accolades from me, and people can tell you immediately when they start to take it how much better they feel. All right, this is a phenomenal story I've told you guys so far. The second brain. Who would have thought that your intestine can talk to your first brain and affect how you feel? But let's talk about the last component of the Vitality Stack, that being the first brain. And the product that we're talking about in that is the Omega Plus. Omega vitamins are needed for the integrity of our brain tissue. Omegas can be found in lots of different food sources to include fish, as well as seeds and seed oils, and nuts and legumes. They're important for healthy brain membranes. We need them for our healthy muscles and joints, and they also help to lower cholesterol and allow our heart to be healthy and reduce plaque formation. They also reduce the stickiness of platelets and help to prevent heart attack and aid in cellular communication pathways between all of our nervous tissue and our brain. And not only that, if that wasn't enough, they're also anti-cancer and anti-diabetes. This product also contains omega-7s, which are anti-inflammatory and useful and helpful for our joints, and also are anti-diabetes and are great for our connective tissue. And lastly, it also contains a dose of vitamin D3, the mother of all vitamins, 800 international units, which we need for our healthy bones, muscles, and our immune system. It also helps to protect prostate and breast tissue as well. So remember, omega-3 fatty acids, I don't know if you know this or not, but the brain is 70% fatty tissue, and the type of fat tissue that it's made of is omega-3. In general, the omega-3 that makes up the brain is more DHA than EPA, and this has a ratio of 3 to 1. This is very similar to the ratio that was found in mother's breast milk. So if you imagine then, they have copied this because it went to go to form our brains when we were infants so that we would be healthy. And as we get older, we need more DH3 because our brains take an assault and we need this for structural integrity. These omega-3s are of the purest quality. They're 100% traceable from the boat to the bottle. They are not rancid. They do not have a fishy smell. In fact, they even taste lemony, and you can bite into them, and they do not give you indigestion or a bad fish smell. They're pleasant to take. So essentially, we are biohacking using these products, the Vitality Stack provided for by our LifeVantage company. And in the Vitality Stack, we're able to then reduce inflammation in our body. We're able to de-bloat. We're able to repair our leaky gut. We're able to support our immune function, our heart health. Simultaneously, we're able to increase our energy stores, enhance our mood, and improve our sleep. And this is just such a fantastic product for us to have and for us to be able to tell people about. And it is the next future in health and wellness. And this is why we refer to this as our Core 4 and our biohacking marvel.
Oh, Dr. Goodman, that was wonderful. We just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for reviewing the amazing and foundational science behind our products. LifeVantage Vitality Stack is really incredible, you guys. It's truly about helping our bodies be the best version of ourselves. And as Dr. Goodman discussed so eloquently today, the ultimate goal of these products is to biohack our bodies at the cellular level. It's pretty amazing that our bodies can even do this, right? In a synergistic manner, these products are activating our cellular pathways. We are biohacking the aging code. We are just so thankful for all of these products. We're thankful for the scientific support behind LifeVantage's products. And most of all, we are thankful for literally the thousands of lives around the globe who continue to be positively affected by these products. So thank you, Dr. Goodman, for joining us today. To the best of health for everyone. Have a good day.